Hey guys, Robert here. I'm going to talk to you about the ATV A-drum, just the shell pack and hardware that came with it. I will not be covering the Pro Mimic yet, but that will be in a future video. This is replacing our church drum kit. So I'm specifically just going to be talking about the construction of this and how well it looks to me. Now, I was surprised that it came with quite a bit of hardware and options to be able to move your kit around. So I'll be discussing that a little later in the video. The construction of this is very well done. The bearing edges are very nice. They feel like they're straight and true, very clean. Has three piezos, like I said, to pick up all around the drum shell. I'm assuming there might be three rim piezos underneath too, but I did not want to take it apart any further. I just really like how clean this is, how they made it look. They have this plastic cover to hide all the wiring, but the base of it is a metal base, and that's very nice. It needs stability, and it's anchored in by three anchors, and it has a bottom mesh head to cover it all up. Now looking underneath of this, you could see that it has a metal base. It's very clean looking, just like on top, and you can see the wire straps too from the bottom. They use black ones so you don't notice them right away, but as I pull up closer, you could see them right there. They have little holes for the strap to go through to hold the wire down, and that's very nice, keeping it nice and clean, keeping the wire tucked in nicely. That's very good. And even the bottom bearing edge is very nice and clean also, and it also felt straight and true also. Now I made one mistake. There is angle brackets for every lug, not three, but for every lug, to keep it very nice and stable. Now the wood block here, as you can see, it's anchored in from the bottom, so it rests on those little anchors and you attach it onto the rim when you pull it out of the box. This helps translate the vibration to the rim pickups a lot better. Personally, I didn't think it was going to work, but it actually does. It does improve the sensitivity to the rim pickups, so you definitely want to add that on there. I do think it's a little high though. I thought about turning it over, but I do not want to wear out the holes on that wood block. Now here's a closer view of the tie strap right there. Now the bass drum just has a single piezo element and the foam is all around, so it actually has this little cavity for the beater to bury into, but it's still very sensitive. And as you can see, it's just a large metal plate, and right there is the input jack from the outside. It's very nice, clean construction still. Now the cymbals are what I was interested in the most. I am very, very impressed by these. They are very expensive, which is a problem I still do not like with a lot of drum companies for just plastic and rubber. But here, just after a few days, you can see all these stick hits. But no worry, all you need is a wet towel. That's it, just water and a towel, and then a dry cloth to wipe it clean, and that's all you need. As you can see here, it just took me a few seconds. It's clean. You don't need any harsh chemicals, nothing. Now I am very impressed by how thin this is, and the bevel edge for the choke there, it's very small too. A lot smaller in my opinion. Well, maybe not too small, but it's smaller than Roland and definitely a lot smaller than Alesis. So I was very surprised. It feels very natural, feels closer to a cymbal because of how thin it is. And it choked very, very well, and the edge hits came out very nice too. And this low profile is just nice. It just feels closer to the original thing. I know it's not going to be 100% like the real thing. Another thing I noticed too, you definitely want to keep the felt on there because when I took it off, it did not sit down correctly, and it's a very tight fit. And I think this also helps contribute to the anti-spin, because if you leave the felts on there and then you put that on there, it's going to be hard at first because you have to break in the felts because it's going to be very hard to screw it in. It tends to stay in place better too. It won't spin as much. That coupled with the fact that you have the input jacks on the bottom to give it a slight weight difference to the edge. Now I'm cleaning these with just a water and a towel. I must have had something on my hand there because that's not coming off, but I'll come back to that in a minute. There's the 12-inch cymbal. As you can see, it's just clean and real nice and easy. The hi-hat had the most hits, and same thing. It just took a few seconds and all those stick hits were gone. So I really do like how clean or how easy it is to clean these cymbals. So I was very, very impressed with them. Now the thinner rubber too does contribute to being just a tad louder. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not horrible, but in apartment it might be. Here I am trying to finish up that little piece. So I took a dry cloth and I finally was able to wipe it off. I'm not sure what I had. Could have been the donuts I ate. Honestly, I was eating donuts earlier, so maybe I had a little bit of that sugar. But this is the one thing I did not like. I was actually shocked to see that this is just a cut piece of rubber rim, and then it looks like it's glued together. It should hold for a while because it's not at the area where you're going to hit it. But I was shocked to see this on such a high-end expensive drum kit. Now I am pleasantly surprised, like I said. You have attachment here on two of the cymbals, so you can put three different things on there, whether it's toms, cymbal arms. You also have these little cable management systems on the cymbals. I don't know why they have such a big one. You would think it would just be for one or two. It came with this book, and it came with instructions specifically telling you that it has two bass drum patches, and to use them, and do not use a felt beater because it will eat up the mesh head, which should be common knowledge, but it's not in the drumming community. But when I opened up the package expecting to find two, I only had one. I'm not worried about it because, mistakes are going to happen. I'd rather see a small mistake like this than a huge one on the drums, on construction. But everything was constructed really well. Now the hi-hat, it's powered. It's an optical hat, so you need to make sure it's plugged in. Switches on one side, so then when you turn it on, you'll see that light come on. Now, I'm very, very impressed with the hi-hat. It is true that's probably the closest to the real thing, especially when it comes to semi-open sounds, and the light really helps you know that it's on. Now, though, it did not come with any of this, and I strongly recommend it. A drum riser. 18 inch, 16 inch, 20 inch, they need a drum riser so the beater hits dead center. It only came with two TRS cables, so I recommend buying cables for everything if you don't have it. Make sure they are TRS. A patch for a double kick pedal, and a really good surge protector to protect your hi-hat and the drum module. This is a must-have investment for any drummer in electronic drums. I also strongly recommend buying a good hi-hat stand. This did not come with a hi-hat stand. Now, all the knobs and anything that just has a knob on it is going to be tightened up all the way. So you're going to have to loosen them up in order to get all the tom arms and cymbal arms in. And there's a little plastic gasket or whatever you want to call it inside of it, sleeve. Those ones, some of them are going to be very, very tight, so you're going to have to work it in to be able to loosen it up. One of them wasn't fully seated, so it took me a while to get it in there. And this attachment, I think, is specifically for the module, but you can use whatever you want. You can use it for anything since it's a multi-purpose attachment. I'm going to be using it probably for the module, but I plan on making a specific stand for the module since we use 2 modules and a in-ear monitoring system at our church, which I'll show on a later video. One thing I forgot to mention, it does come with this snare stand. It's very nice. It did not come with a hi-hat stand, so you definitely want to buy that. And as you can see here, the beaters are a little high for this 18-inch bass drum, so that's why you need the riser to lift this up, so that way they're hitting dead center. Another thing to keep in mind, this is not your standard like multi-purpose type. This has teeth in it, so you're not going to be able to get infinite adjustment. It's going to be either slightly angled one way or slightly angled the other way. The same thing with the cymbals. You're not going to be able to get this multi-purpose like just like on real advanced ones like with Pearl and Mapex. You're either going to be slightly one way or slightly the other, so you're going to have to make more adjustments down there, and it's the same down here too. It's not those little fine teeth, they're slightly bigger, so you have to keep that in mind also. Now I do wish they had more spacing between each one of these attachments, because when you set it down low for a better center of gravity, the rods tend to hit that little cymbal tension rod that controls the height of the stand, so it's much harder to move things around. So I'm still playing with how I'm going to set everything up. It feels weird still only having 10 and 13-inch drums for such a high price range, but it doesn't look too out of place when you try spreading the floor toms apart to match my 16 and 18-inch floor toms. So that's a good thing. I do still wish that they offered more color options, because you're spending over $3,000 for this drum kit. You should have more than just black. Now I'm not talking about the cymbals, because if you try doing bronze, silver, stuff like that on rubber, they tend to crack and peel and break off. So I'm totally fine with the cymbals being rubber. I still think that they're overpriced, but I still respect what they've done with the cymbals. They are really, really good. I'm really impressed with them. They choke very easily when you're playing, especially with the Pearl Mimic, because the Pearl Mimic has some of that effect to make it sound like when you choke something, and it has a little bit of that resonance or decay from choking it. It fools you anymore when you hear it. When you hear it in some of my future videos. But not having a drum riser to be able to lift the bass drum so the beaters are hitting dead center. The reason is, if I do lower the beaters, then the bottom of the beaters, since they're metal rods, are going to hit and probably puncture the mesh head, and I've had that happen on Mylar heads on a real drum kit. Plus it changes the feel of the pedals when you're playing, so that's why you want to have it raised up more. It didn't come with a hi-hat stand. The cables. The reason why it doesn't come with cables is because the cables come with the module, and it's a DB25 cable system, and I really hate those, especially since this is supposed to be a high-end drum kit. That's one of the reasons why we didn't go with the module. We really love the Pearl Mimic, and they have full sounds. I'm not knocking ATV's drum module. It does have some great sounds, but they're not full velocity sounds like the Pearl Mimic. The Pearl Mimic really beats everybody out of the water, and it's very easy and very intuitive to work with the Pearl Mimic and setting it up with these drums. But I definitely recommend getting a hi-hat stand, a drum riser, surge protector, and a kick patch. Especially if you're a double bass drummer, you definitely want to get one that could fit 2 of them, because you're only going to get one kick patch probably. I probably am just one of the rare people who just got one, but it says it's supposed to come with 2. So I hope this helps a lot of you guys out. I have some more videos coming out in the future, so please stay tuned, all right? Take care. Bye.